here next to me. It is former State Representative Larry Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, happy to be here for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in and taking time. Particularly, we've been focusing on the presidential race, understandably, on the Senate race here in Texas. But because of your experience at the Texas Capitol, I thought you would be a really good person to talk about. We have not really talked too much about some of those state house races, the body that you served in for, I believe it was almost 4 terms?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So tell us about what you're watching in particular, because there are certain contests that we're not breaking down fully in this. Are there certain ones that you're watching? What are you thinking that the shape of the race will be for that body?
You know, I think the big picture is it's a lot of status quo, right? I fully anticipate Speaker Phelan to be Speaker Phelan. There were probably 7 races that people were looking at, but after early voting, numbers have come in. There's probably only 2 that people are still looking at.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's going to be the same. But I will tell you, one of the biggest differences are, even with a Speaker Phelan, there are at least, for a variety of reasons, 12 new chairmen. That's not insignificant. When you have 34 standing committees and 12 new chairmen, that's a lot of change.
Yeah.
That's a lot of change. And we know right now we have at least 32 freshmen. 32 freshmen out of 150 is a big deal.
A lot of new faces that will come in. So what do you think the impact of that be, that so many new people coming into the Texas House?
I think the worst thing about that kind of mass turnover is loss of institutional knowledge. The best thing about that kind of turnover is loss of institutional knowledge. There's an opportunity, right? There's an opportunity. You have new people with new ideas looking through a different lens, right, that are bringing their own personal talents to the legislature. And what you look for in a freshman is you ask them, hey, listen, welcome to the House. Now, dig in on something you know, right? Bring that with you. So whatever you did prior to being elected in your private life, bring that talent to us, and let's find a place for you to go.
Yeah, let's find that avenue
Absolutely.
for you to go in.
And just jump right in, right? So particularly when you have this many freshmen coming in, you count on the freshmen to come in and have a voice, for sure.
You mentioned what will likely be the most consequential vote that will happen in the Texas House, and that is what's going to happen with the Texas House Speaker's race. So many Republicans have endorsed another candidate at this point. We still don't know where some people fall, but what's your expectation about who will ultimately sit in that position and serve and preside over the House?
My best guess is in a few hours, Speaker Phelan will roll out his votes and he'll be Speaker Phelan again. I fully anticipate that to happen. That usually happens very quickly, and I can tell you from experience, those phone lines are getting lit up right now. I mean, especially when you see the seats that were in question not being questioned anymore. So now there's a lot of phone calls. His chairmen are calling other people, and they're lining up votes right now. So what usually happens is the night of or the very next day, there's a list. And quite frankly, once you get to 76, the list grows pretty quickly because you are the speaker now, right?
Yeah,
and
the dominoes are kind of lined up for that person.
Correct, yeah. So I fully anticipate that to be rolled out here fairly soon, actually.
Okay, well, we will look out for that for sure. I'm also wondering, maybe I should look at Twitter to see if he's posted anything about that. So we'll revisit that in just a few moments, too. But, as we're looking at this, at the makeup of the body, we saw such infighting on the Republican side with, Governor Abbott endorsing certain candidates, challenging incumbents who stood against, for instance, his proposal to create school vouchers or education savings accounts, whatever you would like to call it. And then Attorney General Ken Paxton endorsing some candidates, sometimes in contention with what Governor Abbott preferred.
Right.
So when you're out of the body, you're looking at that happening. What's your take about where this could lead in the future?
So what I hope happens is we have a running number of members that we know are in, right? So tomorrow we're going to wake up. And then the first thing we ask the members is, okay, campaigns are over. We know who won. Be a gracious winner and come lead. Come help us, right? Because I told the winners, look, there's no reason to hold a grudge. You got what you wanted, right? I mean, you ultimately won.
You have a seat at the table.
Correct. You're here. And that's what you wanted. So for the winners, I just don't see any reason for them to hold that kind of animosity. You won, right?
Yeah.
To the ones who lost, thank you for running and participate. We really appreciate that kind of participation and input. But it's time to govern, and that's one of the most important things they're going to hear during orientation later this month. from my former colleagues is it's time to govern. It's time to lead. It's time to come in the building. Texas has important issues we need to address. Come to the table and let's go fix some things, man.
You know, we've covered a number of issues that we imagine will be at the top of the table and top of the list for the Texas House. What do you anticipate will be kind of up their priority list for some of these lawmakers to tackle?
It's always the budget. The budget. I mean, I was a budget conferee twice. I know the budget very, very well. You can have the best policy intentions, but if there's no money to pay for it, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's always about the budget, right? That's the thing that they have to do. The budget, they had quite a surplus last session, and they did spend a lot of that money on some really good things, some one-time money as well. But when they come back, right, you're going to have to look at what available revenue is there. Glenn Hayer, the Texas Comptroller, put out a press today that revenue is down 25% from earlier. So they're already kind of letting you know, in my opinion, hey, it's not going to be what it was last time when it comes to funding a lot of these projects. So it's the budget. It's always the budget, particularly the property tax buy down, right? They bought down $15 billion worth of property taxes last time. And so that's going to have to continue. So it's going to be the budget.
And speaking of revenue for the state, I mean, how do you think that's going to impact possibly school choice being pursued again?
That was always the question, right? The question was, okay, so we can afford it now. What does it look like going forward, right? Because you can certainly anticipate while things are good now, you can afford all kinds of things, not just ESAs, but you can also afford transportation projects and roadway projects and all these wonderful things when you have money. But, you know, when you have to like tighten the purse strings a little bit, then it's a matter of priorities. And then you have to sit down and just prioritize. I was there when we were $27 billion in the hole, and I was there when we had a whole bunch of money. And I will tell you, it's much easier to govern when you're $27 billion in the hole because the answer is no.
Right.
The answer is we don't have it. The answer is no.
Always. It will
but when you have money, then you really do have to prioritize those things that you think. Because look, the budget is a public statement by your elected officials of what we prioritize, what we think's important is right there in that document.
Yeah.
First and foremost,
laid out in black and white.
It's right there because again, you sit through these committees. And you may have, 200 great bills that I can't pay for. And so it doesn't really matter. So it's all about the budget.
Yeah. Well, former State Representative Larry Gonzalez, we appreciate you coming in this evening and making some time for us. It was really good insight, and I'm interested to see if your prediction is correct that Speaker Phelan will roll out the number of lawmakers who are lined up behind him. So we appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Larry.